Okay, the action from round 15, the AFL has been completed, and so is the Brownlow Analysis. Kicked off with a great game Friday night, Geelong versus Essendon, and the Bombers couldn't quite get over the line there. I did feel Dyson Heppel was clearly the best man on the ground, though. Expect him to get the 3 votes over Joel Selwood. Another good game from Joel. He had a real lag in the mid part of the year, but it's good to see him back in business, Joel. And also a couple of lesser lights to slip in for the 1 vote, possibly Jimmy Bartell. So, yeah, Dyson Heppel over Joel Selwood in that game. Hawthorn Gold Coast. Now, interesting game this. The Hawks win by 53 points in sloppy conditions down in Tassie there. Gazza, the little master, had 45 possessions and kicked 2 goals. Clearly the leading possession winner on the ground, but obviously the margin's a big factor here. I did feel Luke Hodge was the best and most influential player on the ground. I felt that Jordan Lewis can probably get votes as well ahead of Gary. So the game is of interest around how will Gary poll. I've chalked him in for 1 vote. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets 2. Some chance he gets nothing, simply because I feel the year after winning the medal, the umpires are often rating it, pretty harshly. So big asterisks on this game as to how Gary polls, but I do feel he'll get a vote, and more likely he gets 2 than he gets none. Richmond St Kilda, this is one of those games where the player just clearly gets 3, being Trent Cotchin, kicking 5 goals, clearly the best man on the ground, so he gets 3 votes, no problems there. A couple of lesser lights, in the mix. Freo West Coast, Stephen Hill, best man on the ground, over Nat Fyfe. Fyfe, I mentioned his name a fair bit in these reports. Expect him to get a couple of votes, so another great game from the youngster over in Freo. Sydney GWS, Buddy Franklin back in big form, and I've certainly mentioned his name the last 3 or 4 weeks. I do think Kieran Jack will get the 3 votes over Buddy to get a couple. And Kennedy, I've slotted him in for 1. It's a 50-50 whether he gets a vote or not in that game, in my opinion, but I did give him 1. Brisbane North, Pierce Hanley led the way there. Good win by the Lions, by the way, to overrun North after, they were great in the first quarter, North. Expect Pierce Hanley to be the best man on the ground pretty clearly. The other one of interest is Nick Del Santo. I've chalked him in for 1 vote there. Good chance he misses, I suppose, another 50-50, but I've given him a vote. Doggies Melbourne, Boydie to get the 3 votes, and then a couple of lesser lights. Not a major, amount of interest. Nathan Jones not to get a vote for Melbourne. It's probably the bit to keep an eye on there. Adelaide Port. This is an interesting game. Great game of footy to watch, actually. 4 players can get votes. Jacobs, Thompson, Boak from Port, and Paddy Dangerfield. So out of those 4, I think Jacobs gets the 3. Thompson should get the 2. I've chalked Boakey in for 1, just ahead of Paddy Dangerfield, but this is a game, if Danger needs some votes, that he definitely can get them. And Boakey's starting to roll along on the leaderboard, in my opinion, as well now. Consistently in the votes each week, the last 5 or 6 weeks. We rounded things off with Collingwood v Carlton, side bottom from Collingwood to get best on ground there pretty clearly. Scotty Pendlebury's the one of interest, of course. I expect he's a good chance to get a vote. Another one of those 50-50 games, bit like Josh Kennedy in the same round. So I've chalked him in for 1, Pendles, but there's a good chance he might miss. So in summary, Gazza's still in front, of course. The closers are still hanging around. Scotty Pendlebury, Kennedy from Sydney, Boakey from Port. They're the main ones that are closing in now. So looking forward to round 16, and we've still got a fair bit of footy left in the season, which is great. But massive game, Collingwood versus Gold Coast, with Pendlebury and Ablett going head-to-head there. The top and second Brownlow favourites this year. So it'll be a great game to watch. Okay, thank you.